Dude, the Leafs lost to Florida? Can confirm. Well, dude, that's not good because you know who they're playing in the playoffs, right? An NHL team. They're one Achilles heel. Let's go! Do you have a humiliation kit? This is all I ask you to do. I'm having a great finger flick. You're allowed to show up. This team is ruining my life. I'm taking crazy pills. With you, wherever you are, welcome to LFR. Well, that was a terrible way to spend a Tuesday. Leafs lose 3-1 at the hands of the Florida Panthers. A team that has the Leafs number. A team that cannot be stopped. A team that is undoubtedly going to run the Leafs into the ground no matter what. They cannot be beaten. Also a team that is 4-5-1 in their last 10 games, and the Leafs beat them a week ago. Can I just say, I think you and I need to reverse roles here for this LFR, maybe. Listen, we have to go through this every now and then, but who watches these videos, right? Leafs fans, win or lose, we already know that group of people. You're very easy to figure out. You're Leafs fans, you have the passion, and you want to share the passion, win or lose. Then there are the ill-meaning monsters who only watch when the Leafs lose so they can enjoy my misery. How dare you? If you could, just watch as much of the video as possible and click like and subscribe while laughing at me. That's fine. Listen, if I'm gonna get laughed at, I might as well make it work for me. But there is a very specific group that is sometimes very broad, and it involves Leaf fans and everybody. You come here for catharsis. That game was bad, right? That game was bad. The Florida Panthers, for the vast majority of the game, doubled up the Leafs in shots. I don't even want to look up what the final total was. All I know is it was good to bad. And like, it started that way, which it often does with the Leafs. It's weird. I'd like them to get it out of their system, but it kept being that way. Now, the smarter business decision here would be to yell and scream about how the Leafs are garbage and the Panthers are going to run them over. You know, my shtick, because that's what some people call it, not understanding that it's not a shtick. These are my genuine feelings, and I get them out of my system by screaming them into a camera and uploading them into the internet so I can be a normal, functioning member of society the rest of the time. It's April. It's tax season. You know what I did the other day? I went to the bank, not to deposit. What do you think I did while I stood in line? Cut a promo on the CRA? There's a bunch of Americans here like, what? It's like the IRS. And now you're going, oh. No, I did what any normal person does, and I doom scrolled for several minutes while texting my wife and asking her if she wants me to pick up anything from the store. And she did, but it was okay. The grocery store was in the same plaza. Oh, that's convenient. That's nice. And how do you think I drove to the store? The Leafs lost an actual National Hockey League game! No, I just reversed slowly out of my spot with my blinker on and go on my way. Anyway, all that to say, the great business decision here would be to completely go off in this game and talk about how it is a glimpse into how the Leafs will inevitably, as they always do, fail in the Stanley Cup playoffs, especially if they have to play the titans that are the Florida Panthers. And looking at the reaction online, even the reaction on the broadcast, I'm like, I think I'm the only Leaf fan handling this well. So tell you what, you sit on the nice long padded chair this time, and let's talk. Let's talk about your feelings. First goal of the game. The Florida Panthers score. It's Gustav Forsling. And my first shot when I saw it, hey, that face-off was weird. Wow, Forsling can shoot. And you know why that thought occurred to me? Because I have a memory and stuff. A memory that remembers, the Leafs were like, what, 8-1-1 in their last 10 heading into this game? I don't know exactly what it was. It's a very good record. Included in that is a win against the Florida Panthers. And included in that is their previous game from Saturday night where they beat the brakes off the Blue Jackets 5-0. But intermixed in all of that, in the Panthers game, Gustav Forsling scored with a rocket from about the same spot. In this situation, in this game, he was unusually open because the faceoff was unusually clean. John Tavares, who had an off night in the faceoff department, but is usually quite good at them, screwed up. He thought the ref was going to redo it, and he very didn't. He dropped the puck. It goes right back to Forsling clean, and he beats Wool clean. And you even heard Mike Johnson say it on the broadcast. Oh, yeah, it's a great shot, but you got to get a glove on that. And Mike Johnson's a former Leaf. Carlo Koliakovo, it was also a former Leaf, and he said the same thing. Jeff O'Neill, former Leaf, same thing. That is a great example of, you'd like a save there, but also it's a really good shot in an unusual situation. Remember what we were concerned about around this time last year with 5 games to go go after this one. Boy, sure hope Ilya Samsonov remains an NHL goalie, and he super didn't. This year, we had a blemish on what ended up being a spectacular Joseph Woll game. He deserved so much better. And that dude's probably not even going to be the game one starter. It's going to be Stollers. Last year was, can either of these guys do it? This year, it's both of them clearly can. Which one is better? Woll allows one weird goal that we'd like to have back, and the world is ending. Forget remembering the trenches of Raycroft and Toskala and that whole generation of Leaf fandom. Dude, last year was a nightmare. That's why I'm so comfortable with the goaltending situation this year. And my feeling about that goal was validated by the rest of the game, where Woll was the best player on the ice for either team. Definitely the Leafs. And then what happens in the second period? John Tavares gets it and he just kind of shoots it. I'd love to be here like, yeah, Johnny, yeah! No, I just kind of shot it. In my mind, that's like a way worse goal to allow than the forcing one. In fairness, Tavares's might have been deflected. I think it was deflected. It was a weird shot. It was wobbling. But Tavares has nearly 40 goals this season, and I tell you what, that wasn't one of his top 40 most impressive shots. And the Leafs are getting outshot to oblivion, but it's tied. The game is tied. Now, while the game is tied, there was something that I couldn't help but notice. Luke Fox, outside of goal scorer John Tavares, Panthers completely shut down Maple Leafs core 4. Mitch Marner, 0 shots, -1. William Nylander, 0 shots, -2. Austin Matthews, 1 shot, -1. The 1 shot, by the way, was a point-blank scoring chance that Bobrovsky robbed him on. But what ended up being the difference in this game, in terms of pucks going into the net, which is what matters the most, is a fluke. The Panthers, yes, they out-attempted, outshot, and out-chanced the Leafs in this one, but their 2 goals that were scored on a goalie were flukes. And that sounds like cope. How often do I really say that? You have Tavares completely misreading a face-off that never happens. And then on the second one, Morgan Rielly makes the right plays. Hard on his man in front. The puck rims around. He goes to get it. He mishandles it. But again, everyone's mad at Morgan Rielly and they don't like how he's played this season. And okay, fine. Valid. This, though, falls under ish happens. Now you're gonna, how many times are you willing to say ish happens? I don't know, but at least this time, it was bad. It was dumb. Like, it wasn't a great play. But I definitely don't count on that happening many more, if any, times. Leafs pulled Joseph Woll for the extra attacker, which I think was the wrong strategy. They should have just made Woll the extra attacker on account of he was the only player who showed up. Marner ended up playing goalie rather effectively. He had an above 50% save percentage. It was very entertaining. But Carter Verhaeghe, who has stunk lately, by the way, ends up getting the empty netter because the Panthers desperately tried to get him an empty netter. Dude, Verhaeghe has 17 goals this season and 48 points in 77 games. He's a -19. That was his first goal since March 8th against Buffalo and his first goal against a playoff team since February 27th against the Oilers. The 29-year-old's 8-year, $7 million AAV contract kicks in, next year. Now think of how we would handle that, right? Cordial? Would we be cordial? Perhaps not. But how are Panthers fans handling that? I don't know, having a great time, taunting the Leafs because they're confident. Granted, they are the reigning Stanley Cup champions. Listen, it's frustrating. It's frustrating that the Leafs could have won that game, should have won that game maybe. I don't know. Could have, for goodness sake, looked better than they did, right? That's frustrating. But I didn't watch that game and go, oh man, they were just all over Matthews, all over Marner, all over Nylander. Nyes was kind of Down the stretch, they're not going to be dialed into every game. It's just the truth. And I'm going to be honest, even though they had lots of shot attempts, lots of shots, lots of chances, that wasn't an amazing game from the Panthers either, I didn't think. People talking about that game like it was a playoff preview. I'm like, I'm sorry, have you ever seen the Florida Panthers? Dude, out of guys who were trying in that game, it's like Bob, Nico Mikkola, Mackie Samoskevich, Lundell, I guess. Meh. And with the Leafs, it was like Pontus Holmberg, bro. Listen, there's still games left to play before the playoffs. I don't want to see that tomorrow night against Tampa. Then I might get cross. But I don't think what you saw tonight is anywhere close to what the Leafs are going to be in the playoffs, regardless of who they play, and it's not even close to a preview of a Leafs-Panthers series. A Leafs-Panthers series is going to be way faster than that, and it's going to be way way more aggressive and way more violent. The chemistry is going to be up and down and all over the place because the Panthers have so many guys coming back into the lineup. Leafs have guys coming back too, notably Jake McCabe. I don't know. I don't know. Sometimes I'm in a mood, and today I just couldn't allow this game to ruin my Tuesday. I couldn't. I've done some talking. Let's talk to you. What do you got to say? Scared yet? You know what? I maybe was a little bit more frightened of the Florida Panthers until your chirp was scared yet. You're like a snide bully from a 90s high school sitcom. What? Oh, I know you got "We Want Florida" painted on your ceiling. I know it. I know. Your knee is, you need knee surgery. You slap your knee so hard because you think that's so funny. Hey, Steve, just to let you know, Fraser Minten scored for the Bruins tonight. A sad Bruins fan looking for Leafs chirps wherever I can get them. Yep, Fraser Minten scored in a 7-2 Bruins win over the New Jersey Devils. After that game, the Devils were still in the playoffs and the Bruins were still last in the East. Listen, I miss Fraser Minten. I do. But as Leaf fans, what is your memory? You should remember all this. Back when the team was tanking and we were just calling up everyone, randoms, and they'd bury and we'd be like, yo! And now we have the gift of foresight and it's a dude with like 8 career NHL games. Now that's not Fraser Minten. But it's that time of year, dude. I'm willing to bet the Devils were like, yeah, it's the Bruins and the playoffs are coming and we're kind of banged up and I don't feel like it. Leafs aren't the only team doing it. The Sens lost to the Blue Jackets big tonight, and you know how they celebrated? By going, hooray, we clinched a playoff spot, by backing into it. Is the Ottawa Senators fan base coming apart at the seams because they lost this game to the Blue Jackets? No. Anyway, all that to say, I think Minten is going to be a good Bruin, and I hate that a lot. Brandon Carlo, I think, is exactly what the Leafs needed. And having Tanev, Carlo, and whatever the Leafs do on the bottom pair, that's the best right side they've iced in a generation, which is a low bar, but it's also the truth. To get a divisional rival to retain on that guy? Yeah, thanks. When does Steve Yzerman get fired? Oh, I hope never. I honestly hope never. To cheer for a team in the Atlantic Division, I hope Steve Yzerman gets extended for the rest of his life. I hope he's a Red Wings GM forever. Keep that guy there. Extend Justin Hull while you're at it, too. So can Marner play backup goalie? I've been watching the Leafs play for 3.5 decades. Mitch Marner would be like at least an average Leafs goaltender. Now we get back to the game. Masterclass on how to shut down the Leafs in the playoffs. Please tell me why the Panthers won't destroy these guys in 3, because that's so rarely how it ever works. And as a guy who has been fairly critical of the Leafs for a long time and this season and always, if you think that is earnestly the effort and performance that the Leafs are going to have in the playoffs, I think you got to give these guys a little bit more credit. And that's a guy who turns blue and purple and pink in the face once a year when they get eliminated. Besides, you know they can't lose in 3. That's not how they work. That's not how they operate. It's they drag it out and they kill you that way. But this is the big one. Matthews makes 13.25. Barkov makes 10. And he eats Matthews' lunch every time they play. Marner makes $1 million more than Tkachuk. Nylander makes $3 million more than Reinhart. How do these Leafs players have any claim to the salaries they make? There was also another comment, like, how do the Leafs look themselves in the mirror? And I can picture it. So they wake up in the morning and they stand in front of the mirror and they say to themselves, wow, I could afford a much more expensive mirror. I think I'm going to go buy one today. No, I'm going to go have a servant buy it for me. That's how they look in the mirror. Let me say this, dude, that is not on them. That is not on them. Well, it's a little bit on them. They asked for the amount of money, and they got it. There's where it is. They got it. The Leafs are probably overpaying guys and have overpaid guys. Yeah, well documented. The Panthers, dude. You think Barkov took 10 because he's like, I'm such a good guy? I'm just an unbelievable guy. You think Matthew Tkachuk took less because he's like, dude, I rule so much. I'm the best person. Dude, Florida has like no tax. I think they might pay you to live there. I'm not even sure. Matthew's dad is Keith Tkachuk. His brother is Brady. If he needs a few bucks, I'm sure Christmas absolutely bangs at the Tkachuk house. The Florida Panthers should be commended for what they've done with their salary cap situation. But I don't think it just comes down to they're geniuses. Why don't they pay their players less? Why hasn't anyone thought of that? Dude, They've made an organization that people want to be a part of and a market that people want to play in. They've made a lot of smart moves. The Matthew Tkachuk trade was one of them. But dude, there's a reason that the majority of players around the NHL who have like a no move or no trade clause have all 7 Canadian teams on their list. Canadian teams, and Canadian teams aren't alone in this, but Canadian teams have to pay their guys more. That's how it works. I will say this, and I resent that it never gets brought up with the Canadian teams. These guys are paid in US dollars. Dude, if you're a Canadian who plays in Canada and lives in Canada and you make 11 million US dollars per season at the current rate, that is $15,651,955. Dude, you get a $4.65 million raise just by being where you are. Don't pay attention to me. I didn't even take math in grade 12. I have no idea what I'm talking about. Listen, all that to say, I don't know what happened. I don't know who screwed up our coffee order. I don't know what happened on this Tuesday to make us all lose our minds. Hey, lock in! Playoffs are around the corner. I know the Leafs weren't locked in tonight. I know. You lock in, though. You can do your part by locking in. You're putting your foot a little too heavy on the gas a little too early. That's all I'm saying. We're on the bend right now. Save that for the straightaway. I don't know anything about auto racing. Listen, just chill, man. But let me know your feelings in the comment box down below. Let me know how you're feeling. What are those feelings deep down inside? Let's talk about them. Let's work it out. Okay? But for now, that is it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. Click like if you like this video. Click subscribe if you really liked it. Tell all your friends if you are still in your feelings. We can talk about our feelings in person at Shoeless Joe's in Peterborough on Saturday. Tickets linked to them in the description down below. They're going to get mopped tomorrow and I'm going to be cross.